and welcome to another episode of the Oriire podcast, the podcast that tells African stories. I'm Ceci.
And I'm Halima. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. So today we're going to be discussing about the legend of the Dahomey Amazons with Masood. Masood is from Benin and Chad. Hi, Masood.
Hi, Halima. Hi, Ceci.
Hi,
Hi.
welcome.
Bienvenue. Wait, bienvenue is welcome, right?
Yes, bienvenue is welcome.
Oh, okay,
Bienvenue
cool.
is welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Bienvenue.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Okay, Ceci, do you want to give us the introduction?
Yes, we're here today with our special guest Masood, and we're going to talk all about the Amazons, the Dahomey Amazons specifically of legend. So why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and how you know about this topic, Masood?
All right. Thank you very much, Ceci. Thank you for having me on this platform. Thank you, Kola. We've been trying to make this work out, I think, for the past 2 months or so, if I'm not mistaken. We both have very tight schedules, and unfortunately, I think we can only record on Sundays. And Sundays are like the busiest days for me, for most often on tours and all that.
Well,
So
thank you
I
for your
am
time.
My pleasure, absolute pleasure. I am Masood Adanu. Like I said earlier, I enjoy dual nationalities, Central Africa from Chad, and from West Africa, I'm from Benin. I've been able to travel the world quite early, and so, decided to come back home about, I think, 7, 8 years ago. Yeah, so far, I've been building here. I own a travel and tour agency in Benin. Priority first is to, put Benin on the map. We travel often, and if you say you're from Benin and people are like, where's Benin? You got to be like, oh, it's a small country near Nigeria, the giant of Africa. And they're like, oh, okay, all right, and so we have a beautiful country, very peaceful, fast developing, beautiful culture, and it's worth putting forward. And shout out to you guys. Shout out for, choosing République du Bénin, which is a page we also manage. And it's from there, that, this podcast opportunity came about. So yes, run and operate a tour and travel agency based here in Benin. So, we do tours, packages within Benin, and of course, in the western part of Africa, East Africa, and Africa at large. How did I come to know about the history was basically, when I came back home, and not till 2020, that's like 3 years ago, that I was getting to know more about the history of my country, because I'm sure I'm from Benin, but didn't really, grow up here. I wasn't born here, and so I had to learn. I have to learn the language too little, and so I just had to, educate myself about my country. So yeah.
Okay, that was a great introduction. And I really like the Instagram page, by the way. So you guys who are listening, you should go check them out on Instagram. And can you tell us what exactly or who exactly were the Dahomey Amazons?
Um, Thank you, Ceci. The Dahomey Amazons, otherwise known as well as Agogies. Uh, what you have to first note down is they were a corps of women army. Okay, they're a corps of women army, a military corps. Um, they were appointed, to serve in battles, to go to battles. They were appointed to protect the kingdom and the king. Then the king Gezo. You have to know something about the Agogies, or the female Amazons, the Amazons of Dahomey. They were The army was first of all initiated by Queen Tasi Hangbe. Queen Tasi Hangbe, who was the twin sister of King Kaba, who was also a king of the Dahomey kingdom. and not they were not initiated by King Gezo as the movie portrays. All right, this is something I would love to shed light on. So they were initiated by Queen Tasi Hangbe, and you can say, okay, they were structured, and they were put forward by King Gezo, but they have been there since. All right, and the reason of why Agojis, why female warriors, was that when King Kaba, who had a female sister, the Queen Tasi Hangbe, that initiated the Amazons, when the king died, the kingdom decided to put forward the queen and the sister, the twin sister of the king Kaba, and so she disguised herself as her brother, okay, so that people won't know, she's a female king, all right, or a queen. And when she disguised herself as a king, she disguised herself as if she was the brother, dressed like the brother, so that the enemies won't know the king passed away, and that'll give them more power and the authority, or they'll have more courage to defeat the kingdom. And so she was not trusting male warriors, like guards around her, because we know how it is. It has always been like that, mostly here in Africa. Males tend to not like to be governed by females, and so the guards of the kingdom, she didn't want to let them know that she didn't want to have close to her male guards. She didn't want her guards to be males. And so that's how she came about the female warriors, Amazons. She had more trust in her, female gender. And that's how they came about, actually, from the onset. And from there, they became the guard of the queen, Tasi Hangbe. She initiated them, and they've been around the kingdom. And when the king Gezo came around, he found them there. He structured them. He put more order into them. And that's how we have the Amazons today. So just to recap a bit, a military corps of women appointed to serve in battles. If you go on the internet, they'll tell you it's by the King Gezo, but I need you to note that it was actually initiated by Queen Tasi Hangbe. All right. They ruled over, a nation that included much of present day southern Togo and southern Benin. I think Dahomey was not the whole of Benin. It was just a part of Benin, the kingdom. So they ruled, and they ruled for time for so long. They took over, the southern Benin, southern Togo, and today we have present Benin, and all that dates back into the 18th. Yeah.
That is really, really cool. I didn't know that. That is so interesting. So, seeing as she didn't trust like male warriors, which is very understandable, how did the queen like recruit Dahomey Amazons, and like what were the criteria she's put for people being selected as members?
All right. First of all, Agojies, or the female warriors, people or females were not forced to be one. Okay, nobody was forced. People went voluntarily. All right, they want to serve the kingdom, and when you want to serve the kingdom as an Agoji, as an Amazon, you are put to test. Okay, a test that will on your personality, on your courage, how courageous you were, on your determination, how determined you were to win battles, how patriotic you were, how much you want to safeguard the kingdom. And, so they had tests, they went through tests and trainings. And after that, they say you are fit enough, then you are called to be an Amazon, a female warrior. Okay. And you have to note down as well that, they were virgins. They were virgins. They were not allowed to have sexual relationships, and they didn't have boyfriends, or partners. None of that. They were beautiful, courageous, and if you may ask yourself where the term agoji came from is actually from battles. So what they do, one of their tricks were, they attract men to them. All right, they attract them to them as if they want to, get involved with them. And when the man comes closer, they had, like small knives, and they're very, very, ferocious, and they can, grab your jugular veins with their teeth, their hand. They had nails. They're really, they're really warriors, right? And when the men get on them, then they kill their victim. He becomes a victim. That's how they're able to trick many and kill many. And as they do so, they shout "Agoje," which means "get off of me." Get off of me. Today we say, if you watch the movie, when they go to battles, they keep singing "Agoje, Agoje." It's like a song of, of preparation, of courage, of determination. Get off me, get off my way. And yeah, so they were selected based on, these couple criteria I mentioned.
Well, I find it really, really fascinating, this the fact that Queen Tassie was the one who actually formed this division, let's call it that. And I think it's very interesting that, it's been some kind of historical erasure, that now, it's seen as the king being the one who formed this group. And I wonder how such a thing came about, to the point that, like, this is, the fact is now established, or people now believe it as established fact, that it was a king that did it. And there's even a movie which depicts that version rather than the other version. Do you like, I mean, what would you attribute this kind of historical confusion to? Let's call it that. What would you say probably the reason?
Yeah, number one, I think it's just, perhaps the ego of man not wanting to know that, it was initiated by a woman, and she was the woman king, actually. She replaced her brother for some time before the next king came over and took over. So I think some part of ego, some part of, non-documentation. It wasn't documented. And honestly, anywhere you go in the world, people say it's Kingezo, just like in the movie too. Until you come down to Benin, you go to Abome, and you tell you the real history, because if you were to judge some of, the movie didn't really do full justice to the history of course it depicted, of course it put forward the story. And I guess reason why we're even having this podcast, they shed a lot of light to it. We have to give them credit for that. But then, of course, it didn't do full justice to it.
Yeah, I actually think that the version with the queen is much more interesting than the version that we have. I think it would have made a more interesting movie. Anyway.
And I just want to add a quick fact that maybe another reason why this part of like history was erased or something is because of the patriarchal society that we have, not just on the African continent, but all over the world, unfortunately. So hopefully more people can be aware that it was a woman that like came up with this Agoje thing.
Yes, I very much agree. And speaking of the patriarchal society, actually, I have a question related to that. So, I mean, we know that the fact that women became the warriors, basically became the ones who were the protectors in the society, is kind of a subversion of gender roles as they're believed to be, right? So I wonder if this had, effects that bled into society more. So would you say that, like, in that time period, maybe women were a little bit braver, a little bit less forced into gender roles, when they know that, like, women like me are also warriors, so, like, why should I just be one thing? And perhaps were there any kind of other gender related issues or conflict in that time because of this? Like, for example, if the women had more authority than other men, even if they were just a small group of women, did that, I mean, you may not know any information about this, but I think it's really interesting whether or not that actually bled into society. And maybe there was some uproar, people were against a bunch of women being warriors, or is there any documented history of that, or any reference to that as well?
Well, you need to know, that these Amazons were revered both by men and women. Okay, they're revered actually. You know, we talk about them, but when you see the movie, when you come down to Benin and you're told how they were, you know, they were respected, they were revered, they were, I wouldn't say adored, but they're this, after the king, it was them. You get it, right? So, a woman at that time, it was an honor to be an Agogie. It was an honor for them to be an Amazon. It was an honor. They preferred to die than seeing the kingdom fall. Um, and of course, it's not everybody that's called to be an Agogie because the test, I mean, even men couldn't stand some of these tests. You get it, right? So there wasn't really conflict. Men respected them, women respected them, and yeah, if you like today, the history, it trickles down to the fact that in Benin, we have much more female entrepreneurs than males, and you have much more people that have really overcome the like they've established businesses, enterprises, and you get to see it in their traits. And personally, I believe if a woman is given a chance, she can do as much as a man can. Of course, we all have our traits, we all have our weak and strong points, but women are wonderful, and they need to be given their flowers.
Yes, I completely agree. And could you tell us like the timeline that the Agoges were a thing, like when they existed? So from what year to what year, or like what century?
Right. So, like I said earlier, from the 18th century, like right from the Queen Tassie Hongbe,
Mm-hmm.
all the way down till the last king of the Dahomey. But they were um making much more moves, under King Gezo, because they went to battles. After that, there were not so many battles. It's just like you know um there was peace there. It's just like when you don't go to the battle, basically you you stay home, and not much is said about you, or not much is documented. So their prime time was around King Gezo, and yeah, after that it started going down. The battles were won, and little by little we were heading towards independence and all that. But after their time came colonization. So the French came, and then that's another history with King Béhanzin. Perhaps you've heard about him. So before, a bit before King Béhanzin, their story stopped, and that was around that was like the 11th and last king of the Dahomey Empire, certified African legend.
Oh, this is really, really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing, Masood. So, I'm going to move us a little bit into like, have you seen the movie, right? It sounds like you've seen the movie, the Netflix. I don't know if it's a Netflix movie, but I watched your Netflix.
I haven't. I haven't
Oh,
seen
you
it.
haven't? Oh, wow.
No.
So this is going to be a spoiler for you, Ceci. I'm sorry in
I don't mind.
advance.
I love spoilers.
Masood, we're just going to play not really a game, but kind of a game. So you tell me like if whether or not what happened in the movie was fictional or non-fictional, whether it was true or not. Do you get? So the first question I have is when because in the movie there were also like male soldiers as well, right? But they weren't the
Mhm.
focus of the movie. So in real life, was that a thing? Were there also like male soldiers as well? Or was it just female soldiers in the whole
No,
of
of course, there were male soldiers as well,
Oh,
but
okay, okay.
Amazons were the female soldiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were male soldiers as well. So yeah,
Okay.
that's the truth. That's a fact.
Got it. Cool. And then I think you already mentioned this. The Agoges were not allowed to like get married or have partners or
That's right.
anything. But
That's right.
the male soldiers were, right?
The male soldiers at all. Those that were part of, so this is what you have to note down too.
Mm-hmm.
The Amazons was headed by females, for
Mm-hmm.
majority females, but then they had some male soldiers with them. Okay, and even those that were part of the corpse, they were not entitled to doing all that. So they're basically castrated, right? That's the term, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
so they
yeah,
cannot
castrated
reproduce.
is the word.
Exactly. They cannot reproduce, they cannot, have children and all that. They were just meant for the cause of, protecting the kingdom, going to battles and winning battles.
Oh, that's so interesting. If I'm remembering properly, I think in the movie the male soldiers were allowed to like have partners and stuff. But that's
Right.
interesting.
Right.
Um, and then I mean, we might not know the real answer to this, right? But in
Mm-hmm.
the movie, I think I can't remember the name of the Viola's daughter. Like I don't remember the names now at the moment. But anyway, she had like a relationship in quotes with this white guy, and then
Mm-hmm.
Viola was also raped. So are there issues like were there some issues that came up where like maybe the Agoges were compromised and they had to break some of the oath they took? And do you know like the consequences of that?
So not as far as I know of.
Mm-hmm.
It's not been documented.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to Abome, there's nothing like such. I think, and that's my opinion. I think it's just the Hollywood part in the movie. Yeah, to add a twist to it.
I
Okay.
don't know. I haven't seen the movie, but I feel like if, you have female warriors going to war against men, then it's highly possible that, some unfortunate incidents took place
Right,
I
because that's just
agree.
how life is,
Yep.
unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
right, right. That's
Yeah,
right.
I agree. Yeah, that makes a lot of
And
sense.
of course, I agree with you. Of course, some that were captivated and they were
Mm-hmm.
taken back. Anything can happen from there. You get it right. Anything
Yeah.
can happen from there. Yep.
Um, Let me see. I think that is all the questions I had. Did you enjoy the movie? Okay, that's my last question.
Yes, I did enjoy the movie. I think I watched it twice. You
Ooh.
know, uh, yeah,
Mhm.
one time, just with family, and the second time with a bunch of tourists. So we went to the cinemas and we watched it. So a lot of people, criticize it, but my standing point is that um it did it did promote the history. It promoted it to a global scene. Not for the movie. There will never be so much interest about it because the country, the government hasn't really done much about it themselves. It's a story that we're supposed to market and tell ourselves. We didn't. It was done by the West. We have to give them credit for that. Of course, you criticize the fact that it was not. They didn't shoot a scene in Benin. Some of the terms were not pronounced correctly, but what do you expect? They're Americans. No matter how hard they'll try to pronounce correctly, there will always be an accent problem. And perhaps I don't know why it wasn't shot in Benin. I don't know, infrastructure. I don't know. But, they did the assignment. So I see more, positive. I have more positive points and for the movie than just negative ones. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's what to tell you something else about Diego Jes. If you remember, Gaddafi, the ancient ruler of Libya, he had a female warrior. He had female warriors. His guards were actually women. You know, and he took inspiration from the Agoges, actually, the Amazons of Benin. You know, and you have a couple other countries like that in the world too, that have female guards and not male guards.
Oh, that's interesting about Gaddafi. I didn't know he had female guards.
Yeah, he had female guards.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah.
Sassy, do you have any last questions? I don't have anything.
I don't, other than I need to go watch this movie because I've heard so many people talking
Mhm.
about it. But the thing about me with movies is I try to avoid movies that will trigger my emotions too much because I don't like to be stressed. But I think I still have to watch it one way or another.
I think you should watch it. I liked the movie. I enjoyed it. So anyway, thank you so much, Masood, for coming. Do you want to shout out your social media platforms or anything? Where can we
Of
find?
course, of
Mhm.
course. So first and foremost, you have du Bénin, République du Bénin, and
Could you spell
the
that?
place. Yes, R République, RE
Mm-hmm.
PU,
Mm-hmm.
Republic, BLIC.
Republic. Okay.
IQ, I think.
I said it in English. It's QUE actually in
Yeah.
French.
Are you on
République du Bénin.
Instagram? Is this your
Yes.
Instagram?
This
I
is
can't
this
find
is
it.
Republic. So
Interesting.
REPUBLIQUE underscore DU underscore BENIN. So it's, Republic du Benin. But
Exactly.
yeah. So
And
Yeah.
so it's actually a page we manage with a partner of ours. So we're both managing. And then you could as well tag letourist.bj. Letourist is LE tourist TOURISTE with an E, in French.
Le Touriste. Okay.
Dot
I will
BJ.
I will look that up on Instagram as well. Is that the travel agency?
That's the travel agency, exactly. So, we work both of course, we work for Letourist.bj and for République du Bénin as well, promoting the country.
I found the twist already.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are interested in taking a trip, you should check out Littorals. I'm actually very interested because I have wanted to see more of West Africa and I've never been to Benin, so I would really like to go.
I have been to Benin, but it
You
was just
have?
yeah, I have, but it was for a very short period, but it was really cool.
You guys should definitely come and let's go
Yeah.
rock and roll. The real history of the Amazons.
We
We could visit. We
should.
could
We should do
visit.
a
We
video
could visit.
series or something. I think
We
it would
could
be really.
visit Dahomey, and you could do a documentation or the documents, around that, right? The documentary. And then now we have also this statue of the woman king, the Amazon statue, the Agotier. It's the second tallest statue in Africa after the one of Senegal.
Oh,
So
Oh,
it's
that's really
very,
cool.
very impressive. You should definitely come around. We'll be more than glad to tour you around.
Oh, cool. Anyway, merci.
De rien, Halima.
I speak French, by the way. I don't know if you can tell.
Ok, oh, you do. Ah, c'est bien
Yeah.
ça.
Yeah,
Vous avez
bien
appris le
ça.
français où?
I'm joking, I don't speak French. I only know like 3 words.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it
All
just
right.
French you speak, or do you speak like any language from Chad?
I speak French and Arabic.
Ooh,
cool.
okay, well, salam alaikum. That's Arabic.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah. Alrighty,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Halima. Thank you, Ceci. Thank you, Kola. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so
Looking
much.
forward to more, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah,
Cheers.
definitely. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and tell your friends. To stay updated, you can also follow us on social media. On Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, we are Oriire_Africa. On TikTok, we are Oriire Africa. And on YouTube, we are Oriire. Oriire is spelled ORIIRE.
You can also find us on our website, which is oriire.com, where we have articles about African mythology, history, and food. Contact us via our website or social media if you'd like to come on the podcast. We'd definitely love to have you. If you want to support us, you can do so by subscribing to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/OriireAfrica. And all of this will be listed in our description box below. Thank you.
Thank you.